Hi, while I'm absolutely in favor of gamification and game-based learning in the classroom, we've conducted in a good way, I like to discuss now the dark side of gamification and game-based learning in school and after-school programs. And particularly, I like to talk about the topics of excessive gaming behavior and cybercrime. My name is Alexander Pfeiffer, and you find my website alexpfeiffer.at. There you find my link on ResearchGate. If you are registered on ResearchGate, please follow me. Highly appreciate it. And of course, also if you like to stay in touch and give me feedback to the talk, I would love to talk to you. So let's start with excessive gameplay. This topic from my end, I started to have interest in this topic back in 2005, 2006, doing my first master thesis. We conducted research with 1,440 people in World of Warcraft, and we had an average playing time of 7 hours per day from students to managers. So this was the moment my colleagues and I thought about, is there something like excessive gameplay? Is there something like online gaming addiction, so to say? From the Xfire plugin, we have data which is already quite old, 10 years old, but I love this table. It's the playing times in the US and European Union in the year 2011 through 2012. And we still find games that are played today, like League of Legends, like World of Warcraft, like Minecraft, with like, for League of Legends at that time, 1 billion hours of playtime consumed. And don't forget, Asia is not included here. So you can say it's a waste of time, obviously, playing those games, but you can also say it's a valuable time because people enjoy playing together. People love what they do. People have the right to do whatever they like to do in their spare time. I still think it's very impressive, and I still think that if you have in mind that gaming in the year 2021 is even more important 10 years later, that this time, this total consumed time went up and not down in this time frame. We have a lot of comics and memes, obviously, around the topic of playing computer games, like here is no, you weren't downloaded, you were born. And there's so a lot of things you find, or if you have a talk with your kids and you would like to have a starter slide, so to say. So online addiction, of course, is not only related to games, it's also related to social media. It's related to video platforms, or of course also related to porn platforms, if we speak about elderly people watching those videos in secret. And then we have online addiction, and the online addiction research started mainly with online role-playing games like World of Warcraft, like Lord of the Rings Online, Star Wars Online, nowadays games like Fortnite, massive multiplayer online arenas like League of Legends, and games that have an impact and a relation to real-world economy like EVE Online. When we talk about those games and the behavior of playing excessively online, we can also relate to the research of Partler and the player types, and we can think about which kind of player type might be more open for getting into online addiction. So Bartlett said we have basically 4 player types. We have the explorers, those who like to explore the gaming world, the socializers, those who like to talk with others, the achievers who always try to be the best, and the killers. The killers basically want to show that they are the best, and mostly they do it, sometimes even do it with helping others, and telling them exactly what to do, and doing so they can show that they're superior to other players. In my PhD in which I finished 2018, I tried to recreate Partler's research, and I found a fifth player type, and I called it a time player. So basically, it's this player that is playing games on the mobile phone, like Clash of Clans, like Pokemon Go, and so on and so forth, only for 5 to 10 minutes. People that cannot be without their smartphone, people that turn on their game any single minute they feel maybe bored. For example, when you are in the bus, when you wait for the bus, when you uh, have this 5 minutes break in the classroom, and you're not speaking to someone else, you're not thinking about something else, you opening your mobile phone, you play those micro games, and you stop them again and continue with the tasks. Not saying that those micro games are bad. I also like to play Pokemon Go and Clash of Clans, but I think we actually have this second layer player type, which of course they can be achievers or explorers or socializers. But I think this is something we have to consider, that on the one hand, we have the people playing computer games, and then we have people playing computer games to bridge a certain period of time. Why do we love to play computer games? Why do we love to be in our virtual worlds? So on the one hand, we feel like being part of a group, we have positive feelings, our self-esteem increases, we are successful, and the higher our character is leveled, the higher our rank is in sports games, the more we feel involved with the game, obviously. We like to participate with others, we like to communicate. So this is the devil's circle. Um, when you are trapped as someone who is feeling that she is an addict to computer games. There are different kinds of addictions, obviously, that are related to this, like being addicted to work, being addicted to shopping, being addicted to sexual habits, pathological gaming, gambling, so what is called iGaming in Malta, and then the online addiction in social media and in games. And basically, online addiction is a form of addiction that is not related to something tangible, like when you are addicted to drugs. It's an intangible asset, is a behavior you do, like all those things that you have here in the table. They are a form of behavioral addiction. So basically, sometimes you can say that to online addiction or to excessive gameplay, there could be the possibility that another form of disease or addiction is related to this, or it does not come alone. So it comes with another form of media addiction, for example, gaming and streaming, forgetting about your tasks in real world, forgetting about learning for your exams in school, and so on and so forth. So you always have to look onto the big picture from an eagle eye perspective. There are different kinds of classifications, like the DSM-5 or the ICD-10. And recently, online addiction for games, so not only gambling, iGaming, but also playing computer games, has been included in these classifications. On the one hand, you can say that now gamers are brand marked because their excessive gameplay is now an official disease. On the other hand, it is very helpful because you can actually reach out psychological healthcare or a doctor, and he or she can help you out or can help your pupils in school if they have particular problems. You do not have to make up another disease, for example, that Social Security is maybe paying for it. Some stories that I've heard during our research some years ago. So maybe back to this, when I wrote my master thesis almost 14 years ago, I had those an enormous number, and we established the Center for Online Gaming Addiction in Austria. And I stepped down after a while because I got telephone calls 2, 3 in the morning from people that are, calling me asking for help. I'm not a medical doctor. I was not able to help, just to, suggest people they can call. But from my university, the 2 other people I was in the research group, they actually are still in the topic, and especially Bernd Dillinger, he's now working with the Anton Brocksch Institute, which is the biggest addiction clinic in Austria, and they are really doing a lot of work in regards to gaming addiction. So let's go to some criteria. And of course, even if one criteria fits, you can start to call it excessive gameplay, but that's all by a case-to-case basis. So basically, if you're permanently using your computer, if you develop a tolerance, so if you play more and more hours until you feel satisfied playing, you feel negative consequences psychologically when you are not at your computer or smartphone. You try to stop playing but fail, meaning that you really like to go to a party, you really like to do your homework, but you don't do it. You continue gaming and you have those withdrawal symptoms. You have negative emotions in real life. Your family is maybe not treating you the right way. Your friends are not treating you the right way, and you flee into the computer world because there you can hide, or you can play your avatar, and maybe the avatar is a great member of such a gaming community, and this gives you the positive impact. So on the one hand, it's hiding, and people think it's bad, but on the other hand, of course, being involved in a positive game, mentors or psychologists have to take these positive feelings and try to bring them into the non-playing world, which is quite hard, but we don't need to see all the gaming negative. So if someone is an online addict or playing excessively computer games, then we have to look into, of course, the general aspects, but then we have to look into the good things happening there and try to catch them, and try that he's playing less, he's spending less, he or she's spending less hours with the game, but the good things from the game we need to transport back to the so-called real world. And those are some ways how to find out if someone is actually an excessive involved into excessive gameplay. So you draw those circles. In the middle is the person you ask, and you write on a piece of paper certain words like my computer, my health, partnership, friends, job, and so on and so forth. This would be a healthy way how to put those words. And if someone is putting it like this, then obviously this person is excessively using the computer in regards to, for example, playing games. So this is really easy to recreate, also on a case-to-case basis, knowing this person you speak to a little bit better, finding the individual right words, and then let him or her put those words next to the person. Another way is the map of social networks. This is a very balanced map here. So you ask again the person to give you names of your family member or professional contacts, friends, work, and so here the mother is quite close to the person, but also the friends. Everything seems right. And this is an imbalanced map, how internet addiction would look like. So we have the person, still only one friend, the family, mother, father seems quite far away, the mother a little bit closer. And then basically very close to the person is my colleague Bernd Dillinger, the local doctor, and Professor Poppe, the head of the clinic, even in this case. And so this is another good way of how to treat people at the beginning before you reach out for professional care. So this is basically an extension of the social network map, where you extend it with the virtual friends. So you see it in the left upper corner that the friends from the game are involved here. It's the same as you find here, but maybe let me add the laser pointer in this case. So as you see here, the therapists, one real life friend, the family, and then we have here the real life friend, the family, the therapists, and we have a lot of friends in the virtual world. This is, of course, always a discussion. Are those real friends? And you can say, yes, of course, they are real friends. They're real friends, like those friends you play in your soccer or tennis club. At least they are perceived as real friends. And sometimes you know their story, you know their real name, you know where they live. And even here in this case, so this person knows that one character is Stephanie, which might be the real name. And for other characters, they have like the fantasy name, like Dice. So it's always what information do you give to others when playing computer games? And you also have to be very careful, of course, giving others information about you. And so Dr. Poppe and Bertelinger say that there is a multifactorial genesis out of three aspects, which is the person itself, the substance. So the drug, in our case, it's the drug is a game installed on your computer, and the environment, meaning how is your situation in family, at school, at university, depending, of course, who the person is you speak to. And you have to find this mix of all those. There has to be a mix of those three aspects to kind of create the addiction, but also when you try to treat a person and help a person, you have to kind of reverse engineer why is the addiction and what are the possibilities to handle the problems, and that you care for and that you help this person. So this is actual photo we did 10 years ago. So we tried to visit the first generation of online gaming addicts in their homes and make photos. And they are really horrible. This is just one example here. So most of them at this time were students that were from another county, not Vienna, but moved to Vienna in like a shared apartment or student's home. And they only did those ACTS credits, to get family funding, those 450 euros for the parents. And the rest of the time they spent playing computer games, taking pills, maybe even smoking, drinking alcohol, and were most of the time messes. Some of them earned the money playing characters from other people in the guild. But this was really an eye-opener at that time during our research project. So some other aspects that you have to know, basically, and what you need to know to help people, especially, is that you don't judge the interactions with the game world, that you could be the teacher or the parent or the best friend. You show interest for the virtual world. You take those relationships seriously. You ask the patient to do a diary of the playing behavior. This really helped because it really helps in the therapy, because if, for example, a healer in World of Warcraft is playing the same dungeon every day, and then you speak to this person and ask him, why do you play the same dungeon every day? And they say, there is a lot of group pressure. I'm the best healer in the guild. And then you basically tell them, no, listen, next time you say, I don't go with you, I go somewhere to a region I like to currently actually play, and take a junior healer because he or she needs to learn how the game looks like, and the people of the guild will understand. And finally, you have some more spare time and free time that you can use with friends, family, or hobbies you had before you played computer games. So Petri in 2010 did the traffic light model, and he defined what is basically something you are not allowed to do, like during the highest area of your addiction, playing the game. This is forbidden, but green is, working and checking your emails and replying to emails. Yellow could be still be in touch with the people from your online community, but only via social media and forums, for example. After a particular point of time, that's maybe the good news, people can return back to their games, but of course they have to be guided by their therapists, and they have to try to find the regular playing behavior at this time. So what we find is we have different institutions from like in the UK, from the European Union, in Germany, in Austria, in the US, in Asia, that defines the age group of the games, and that define if something bad is happen in the game. Most of the time this shows that, for example, for a newborn, it's okay to kind of follow this content, watch the content, if you kind of at least listen to the content, because they should not watch a TV screen, obviously, but obviously a newborn cannot play FIFA. So this is only about, does the content itself possibly harm the person, and it's not the age group which should actually play the game. I think this is important to say. So in most of Europe, we have PEGI, the PEGI information. The UK has its own system, and Germany has its own system. And Austria, by the Ministry for Family and Youth, they established a website called bupp.at, and there they only review games that they say they are positive. They have offer positive play for the families. So in regards to online addiction, the last slide, and this is really important, is the self-assessment part. So if you as someone who feels that the person next to you is might be addicted to games, you have to nudge them to do kind of a self-assessment. You use those tests or methods I showed you before, because if a person, if you like a person that someone helps him or her, the most important thing is that this person is looking for help, him or herself, so that the therapy can have the best positive effect, so to say. This was the first part. The second part is game crime. And game crime is also the reason why I tapped into blockchain technologies back in 2013. And in this year, we also wrote a book called Game Crime, which got quite successful. Who is we? It's Thomas Gabriel Rüdiger. He's now heading a cybercrime department at a well-known German university. And we wrote this book together and started the research together back then. So usually you can say where there's an incredible number of people and money is generated, there's ultimately also fraud. This relates to digital games as it relates to blockchain and the fraud around those blockchain tokens, obviously, and the speculation hype. But I think this is important to know, and digital games generate such a huge amount of money, online games, and because you can sell the items, I'll show it to you in a minute. And this is why people try to hack into those accounts. What I really liked is in this TV series, The Big Bang Theory, they took up this topic of game crime and cybercrime with digital games, and Sheldon's World of Warcraft account got hacked, and they tried to, get those virtual items back, and they even called the FBI, called the police, and it's quite accurate actually how they talk about this topic in Big Bang Theory. And for Big Bang Theory, it's great because those who are fans of this TV show, they are players of World of Warcraft, and they don't need much explanation. They understand what it is about. But those TV series are also important for educating those who are not playing, because obviously there's at least a certain percentage of Big Bang Theory fans that are not playing themselves, maybe. Or a Big Bang Theory fan playing is talking in school with friends about that, and so on. So word of mouth, some basic introduction to the topic is taking place. Then you can look into the terms and regulations of those games. And if you look on the texts by EVE Online, an online role-playing game which is related to the real-world economy, and which has a real-world economy because the in-game currency can be converted to fiat money. They say a healthy distrust of strangers, so don't give your tokens, your money to everyone. Then we have something that we call the dark field and the bright field. So the bright field is the number of police reports actually reported to the police. This is data from 2012-13. One of those 2 years, I think it is 2012, and for 84 cases have been reported to police in regard to game crime. But in fact, it's much more. It said it's a 5-digit number because the ratio is 300-1. And if it would be now a live session, I would ask you why, and we would have a long discussion. The reason is basically that the provider of the games don't want that game crime is actually reported to the police, meaning that if your account gets hacked, they even help you to find the reason why it got hacked. For example, the Trojan horse installed on your computer or a keylogger, and they re-establish your virtual items at least the first 1 or 2 times your account gets hacked. After several weeks, most of the time you can continue playing with all your items, your character, and your safe game as it is. But you know, sometimes the cases are a bit more complicated. Identity theft, for example, this is something then where the game provider cannot do anything, and you go to the police, or your credit card data gets hacked. And then, of course, we have also social hacking, social engineering, meaning that people chat with you and ask you things like what's the name of your grandma or whatever. So with those information and your mobile phone number, they can get access to your real life bank account. So always be cautious who you tell the name of your dog or of your grandma. But all those cases are actually serious, because all those cases are at the end theft of something that has real life value. And why does it have real life value? Because those items from your character, they are, some games they have a real life market and the game provider allows it, that those items are sold for money. And other games like with World of Warcraft, it's a black market, meaning that characters with high class equipment are being sold on eBay. And how does this work? They don't sell the character itself, they sell a game account with the character. Blizzard has to walk on this line between, do they support this or not? So officially, of course, they do not support this, and they even block accounts. But on the other hand, 10 years ago, they started that for money, you can transfer a character from one account to another, in things like that. So basically, under the table, so to say, they support this, because if you have several high-class characters, you can transfer them for 20 euros to other accounts, and then you can sell those accounts. And Blizzard does not look at this any further into transactions, and does not maybe ban those accounts, or only on a case-to-case basis. But there's a lot of fraud happening around those games. And then what we've learned, like also 10 years ago, is that more and more games have this connection to the real life. This also fits to the online addiction topic again, that even if you're not playing the computer game on the PC, on the console, you can open your mobile phone application and be part of the game, and in this case do the trading. FIFA soccer is also a really good example for this. And let's look into the targets. The target is the avatar, the character, the credit card details, identity theft of your real life name, and the virtual goods that you own, because that you can sell for gold, and then the gold you can sell again for real life money. How does it work? For example, you say, I have 1 million gold coins, and for that I want 200 euros. So someone then is paying you the 200 euros as a friend on PayPal. You meet on the server and you give him the 1 million gold. And in some cases, this is fraud from the beginning, so you will never receive the gold. In other cases, some players have a high reputation, and you know, in the forums, they know if you speak to mistakes, you get the gold, and you have to pay in advance, and it's working. And so people are making quite a fortune out of selling illegally virtual goods in the game. This is also a reason maybe why somehow gamers understand the concept of blockchain more than non-gamers, because they know that virtual goods can have a certain value if you, as a player in this case, believe in the value. But hackers can also steal the program codes and run, for example, a pirate server, but also can use this for either blackmailing the provider if they have a certain information about the future of the game, like the next update, which might be key for the players to know, and quite a big teaser if they unveil it. And the source code itself is intellectual property, like the AI of boss monsters. Hackings can occur to everyone. This occurred to myself several years ago in Germany. So I was in a Wi-Fi of a hotel, and somehow they hacked my Skype, and this was quite crucial, because then they tried to send messages to my friends on Skype, but I think 25 minutes later, together with Microsoft, we solved the problem. And you see here the log files that it was someone from China trying to get into my account. So let's go to some use cases. We have some more. So pirates, we already said, terrorism planning, money laundering, reviving Second World War ideologies, which is a big thing, of course, in Austria and Germany, if someone is doing that through forums or virtual worlds. Distributed denial of service attacks through a game, sex offenses, cyber grooming, mobbing, of course, and acquisition crime. This is a comic I like a lot. It's like your internet as a service devices blackmailing you because they want virtual coins or Bitcoin or money that they continue their service. I like this here a lot, $20 on my PayPal account, or I will only brew decaf. So we are more into the position that we put our that we have smart homes, that each of the devices in your smart home is actually a security leak. This is just a side note. And I'm really looking into smart meters, taking care as a kind of digital agents of your electricity bill. And if a hacker hacks into millions of those smart meters, and those smart meters ask for just a small amount of more kilowatt hours electricity, then they can cause a blackout quite easily. So imagine Malta with 400,000 smart meters installed, a hacker is in the network, and you can have maybe a blackout for several weeks because the hacker was only able to take over the smart meters in your country. This is not related to gaming, but just an important side note to think about it. So who is responsible? It's your responsibility to safeguard your account against such activities. It's in the Steam trading policy. I think this is quite important that one of the biggest platforms to play games say it's you, the player, who has to safeguard what you're doing. So let's go again to some of those cases. Avatar theft means that someone takes over your character, and with the character, they might be able to have further information, like your password to the game, which you might even use for your bank account. They can, how does it happen? Meaning that you chat your password to other people, you use such a leveling service as mentioned in the beginning in the online addiction part. You receive an email and you click on the wrong link. And of course, if Trojan horses or keyloggers are installed, this is how such an email looks like. Sometimes they're really nicely, and they really pretend that they are from the original management and the account. If you find a lot of typos, then it's not from the original account. This was from the early days of Battle.net, when it really looked like this old school platform, but you always look into the internet address. If it looks really, really strange, then it's not really, it's a fraud. But still a lot of people put their login credentials here, open a new account, and you give them, they recreated the real procedures, and you give them all your account data. This is, as I spoke before, about selling accounts on eBay or items. And of course, there is different discussions if you really use the in-game possibilities, if this is crime or not. So in most of those games, valuable items have a certain color, how valuable they are, like purple if it's really epic, or green if it has some magic on it, but those items often share the same icon. And in games like Diablo, people, start a trading, then they drop an item, reopen the trading window again, and put another item here, and people are just looking onto the icon and click on please trade, and give a lot of in-game gold for an item that is not worth anything. Here you see another another screenshot of eBay, and just one single legendary fist weapon which here will be sold for 89 euros, for example. To prevent this, there is something called soulbound. So if you, most of the games nowadays, if you find an item for your character, you can only trade it either between the characters in your account, or it is soulbound to one particular character. This is how pirate servers look like. So we find websites on the internet that say, don't play the official game, play it with me. We have a full copy of the game, and it's much cheaper. But of course, it's not the same experience as if you play on the official game servers. And again, they will steal a lot of private data from your end. So please don't play on private servers. Terrorism planning, this is something from Thomas Gabler-Rüdiger, and he showed how to use a game and the language used in games and coordinates used in games to speak about an attack on the US president or on the wife of the US president. And this led to the fact that nowadays, if you look into the terms and regulations, chats protocols are being stored for a couple of days and automatically crawl. So AI crawlers are looking for any kind of illicit chat activities. Money laundering through games, and again, this slide is really historic because this is how I came into blockchain. At this time, Bitcoin was still possible, to use Bitcoin mixers, meaning that Bitcoin has been sent from one address to another hundreds of times, and then you were unable to find the original address, or it was really, really hard to do so. Nowadays, those providers say, we stop our services, we want Bitcoin to be not to be used in money laundering. And so a lot of things changed the last 3 to 4 years. In this case, new privacy coins showed up, but with Bitcoin, it's I think more or less impossible to do, money laundering through mixers, because the authorities have the tools to, and the computer power to reverse and to finally look and find the original account. Reviving the traditions of the Second World War Nazis. Here we have Android and iPhones. So on the iPhone, you won't find anything like that because every app has to be strictly approved. But if you look onto those applications on Android, you will find a lot of games really cheering on this dark times we had. And there are even games like it's called Germania, where you go through a world as Hitler won the war. And of course, police knows about that, and they have their agents in these games trying to find people maybe planning an attack or planning organized crime. DDoS attacks through games. So you've also, again, in Google Play Store, you find games where part of the game is to start a distributed denial of service attack, because you have to enter an internet address and then your spaceship shoots the targets, but at the end you are basically slowing down a website and to an illegal activity. And those games, they are in the store of Google. It's really impressive. And then we have grooming and offering sexual offenses. And this is really a hard topic, which is a talk on its own. But please be very, very careful if you have kids and they play games that where there's an in-game economy related to the real world, and people there try to give you, it's kind of, it was in the old times, giving you, in Austria we had shillings, and my parents always told me, if someone likes to give you 10 shillings, run away. And it's the same here. If someone likes to give you virtual dollars, for a photo of you, and maybe for a naked photo of you, then report it to your parent. Tell your kids they should report it to you, and then you report a screenshot to the police. But never do actually a screenshot of a naked kid or something like that, because this would unintentionally involve you in as someone conducting the crime, although you just like to do good. Just try to find a screenshot of the username and of this chat acquisition like offering Habo dollars in this case to a kid and send it to the game master, send it to the police, because we try to find, we have to find those people and we have to monitor those people, because if this start an attack in the virtual world onto your kids, I think, or I'm sure, and Thomas Gabriel Rüdiger is who is doing again the research in this field also, it's quite true, and so many cases where the real world attack started in the kids game. Then we have mobbing and insulting offenses, and that's quite a fun fact, because like if an Austrian feels offended because you attack his character, you can go to the police and report it. And in Germany, they would need to attack your real world name and profession, that you can say you feel insulted. But of course, mobbing in a school class, if someone is not playing the game or not playing the game the right way or not playing the game really good, then mobbing is of course there and you have to take care of it. Basically, nearing the end, we can say that any crime that can be committed through communication can also be committed in virtual worlds. Insulting, harassment, threatening, blackmailing. Acquisition crime is if you need money because maybe you are addicted already, you lost your job, etc., then you try to hack other accounts, steal the items, sell the items to pay your bills, most basic bills. So at the very end, who is responsible? Is it the publishers? With games, we see that in the late 2000s, your games have been more secured than bank accounts at that time, starting with two-factor authentication, which is something that bank accounts did not know at that time, but World of Warcraft started with that. Some publishers have those boards really making public which character or account is banned, why and how long. Then we have the tribunal, which shows, which we had the tribunal in League of Legends giving the decision who should be banned into the hands actually of the players. We have government, we have approaches like from North Rhine-Westphalia, where we find especially in metaverses like Second Life, policewomen and policemen being in the game areas where a lot of Germans play, or metaverse areas where a lot of Germans play, trying to look for illegal activities there. The users themselves, as Steam or EVE Online is claiming, only we responsible for everything and no one else, or actually the providers of the games or of the software, the operating software of your computer. Homework is watching TV. So the first episodes of Mr. Robot are really good, especially when it comes to social engineering. There is this scene where we have this young woman and the senior hacker, and this young woman approaches the senior hacker, and although he's a senior hacker and he knows everything, through the discussion of the young woman, she gets all the information she needs to hack the hacker. When it comes to AI and maybe the entertainment world of the futures, again, the first episodes of Westworld, the Russian series Better Than Us is quite good. So there we have a lot of fiction, and of course Black Mirror episodes, we have a lot of them, which are really, really good. So fiction from Netflix that has been science fiction 5 to 10 years ago becomes more and more reality. So, and some of those episodes and movies can really help you to understand what we're experiencing now. And I know it sounds a bit stupid watching those commercial TV series, but sometimes those people who wrote the stories were quite accurate when it comes to the real world. Like also Jack Ryan, and when the terrorists communicate through an independent online game off the grid of the police. Thank you very much. And again, at the end, I'd like to give you my contact data, alexpfeiffer.at. You'll find my email address there, my ResearchGate profile. Please contact me if you have any questions, if you need anything from me.